listening to the Rookie Big Board Podcast Network.
Welcome into the Dynasty Big Board, part of the Rookie Big Board Podcast Network. I'm your host, Anthony Carenti, joined by my co-hosts Ryan Searfoss and Eric Adams. Gentlemen, how are we feeling today?
Ready to talk some busts and bring the negativity into the world.
I'm just glad you didn't say I sounded like I was on speed this time.
I mean, you definitely still do.
Does he?
Yeah, in the intro, like it's.
Oh, that voiceover. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's like 13 Adderalls, but it's a lot. You sound like Jesse Spano in that episode of Saved by the Bell when she does all of the caffeine drugs.
All right. Well, yeah, hopefully that reference landed for everybody.
Nope. No other than me because I'm old. It's fine.
Well, on today's show, we're going to be discussing potential bust candidates and what we think of some players suggested by the patrons in our Discord server. Before we get into it, if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. Like the video and drop a comment below on who some of the bust candidates that you have or what you think of some of these bust candidates that we discussed today are. And I just want to make sure that you know you can gain access to Rookie Big Board premium content at patreon.com/theFFeducator. This includes our consensus dynasty rankings, consensus Devi rankings, access to the Discord, and the ability to ask us for personalized advice on trades, your roster, and much more. We also want to make sure that you know about the Devi Summit. So it's coming up on Sunday, May 22nd from 12 to 6 p.m. The Rookie Big Board will be serving as a co-sponsor for the biggest Devi event of the year. I'll be co-hosting a couple segments, one with our own Matt Hicks about player values and one with Britt Sanders about analytics. So I'm hopeful I can learn something about analytics, and I'll bring it back to you guys. But whether you're looking to try out Devi for the first time or if you're an experienced player, you'll love the lineup of guests and discussions. The event is also going to be raising money to support those displaced and otherwise affected by the ongoing crisis in Ukraine. So potential bust candidates. We pulled the patrons in the Discord to get some suggestions on who we thought or who they thought might be busts. And I know we have a couple of our own to mix in. But I wanted to start with one suggested by Bex. He says, between age and possible suspension and coaching change, I want nothing to do with Alvin Kamara. Foss, why don't you kick us off? Where do you stand on Kamara? Are you still in from a dynasty perspective? I think we all probably value him pretty similarly, but what are your thoughts about Kamara moving forward?
I have him 8 right now in dynasty. In looking at it, I'm a little uneasy. When he's on the field, he's fantastic. We can't argue that. And I'm not that worried about the coaching staff change. I know Sean Payton's gone, but a lot of guys who were there before are still there. So from that perspective, I'm good. I mean, but he's coming off an injury. He has possible suspension. There's a lot going on. So I'm absolutely worried about it. And I think it's to the point that we can give him a value. Like, it's almost to the point where it's the bad makes him a buy, if that makes any sense. Like, he's in the top, he's 10th in ADP for running backs. But there's backs who are ranked in ADP below him who I think are going to go higher for him, and you could trade for him. Like, I think his value's in a weird place where it's super viable. He's almost plummeted that far where it's too far. But, yeah, it might be a 1 or 2 year shelf life. If I'm a contender now, I might make an offer, but after that, donezo.
Very good points. I support the argument. I do. I just want to bring this up because I think this is interesting. In the first post-Breeze season, he ran the ball 240 times, which is a lot more than he ever has. That's 46 more than he's had in any other season. And he still only had 898 yards and 3.7 a carry. I know we don't want to use yards per carry as the big barometer here, but like I think that might be the only thing that I'm really concerned about. The suspension. I mean, he's still only 26 years old. Is he going to be 20? He'll be 27 in July. I don't know.
27 is that wall though. I think I think the ceiling's not what it is. I think he still has a good floor. I think he can easily be a low end RB1, RB2 because he's gonna get the targets in the receiving game. He still had 67 targets last year and just 10 starts.
Yeah.
But I don't know if the floor is going to be high, and with him aging, they may take a little bit out of the running for him and red zone. But that's where that's only concern with it. But I mean, he's a solid floor play because receiving back doesn't die off super easy in the NFL. It's something that kind of lasts a little bit longer.
He was on his way to Derrick Henry usage without missing those games. You had 4 more games. That's a wow. That's a wow stat line, actually.
287 touches.
Yeah.
And
he would have hit about around. He could have had around 70 catches, maybe 2 to 3 more times. But that's weird because that's so against what we've seen Alvin Kamara do. And I like I said, 3.7 yards per carry. I don't know. I don't know if I think that's him though, or if that's just maybe the Saints missing Drew Brees a little bit. And you got to believe Winston.
They're still missing Drew Brees.
Yeah, but if Winston in the second year, at least he'll be a little more aware of the offense.
Yeah, and I mean there was no Michael Thomas last year. We had Chris Olave, Jarvis Landry.
Yeah.
Hopefully that helps improve his efficiency. It's going to bring down his rushing attempts, but hopefully it improves his efficiency.
Last year, he was the only really good player on the Saints, and this year he doesn't have to be the only offensive weapon. I think that'll help.
I'm still pretty in on Kamara, honestly.
Yeah.
I think, Ryan, to your point, I agree. Like, he has potentially become a value, and I don't worry as much about I don't want to say I don't worry as much about the age, like, period, but just like the player that he is, it doesn't worry me as bad that he's 27, just because we're just talking about how he never made his hay off having, 1,500 rushing yards or something like that on consistently getting pounded between the tackles. I think he's still going to be a good pass catcher for, I don't have any reason to think that's going away anytime soon. So I do think this offense will be better this year. I still have him as a top 5 running back, and I don't think you have to pay those prices right now. He's somebody I would target in startups because I don't think you have to spend a first-round pick on him. And you can potentially go with, a high-end wide receiver. Say you're picking back end at round 1 in a startup draft or something like that, super flex or not. Say it's super flex, and the quarterback run happens, and what if you could go, Chase or Jefferson and come back, or even Pitts and come back around with somebody like Kamara after the turn? I'd sign up for it.
He's going as RB10. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
Like, it's a part, like, yes, he could be down a little bit. It's still, everybody's so down on Tabai. He went on. He went the 9th running back in the draft I'm doing right now, and that's a redraft best ball. And he went at 3.5 in Superflex. He's become a value.
Yeah. All right, we're lobbing this one up to Eric. BJ French said, I worry Brady is going to bust one of these years. I don't think – look, we haven't projections are later this summer. I'm sure we'll all project Brady highly. But how much longer do we get from Tom Brady? The age-old question. Eric, what do you think?
This year. That's it.
That's it. Oh yeah, he's got that shiny new. He's got that shiny new analyst contract.
He got a lot of money waiting for him.
Yeah. He's himself has said 45, dude. I feel like it's. I know he joked in the past. He's like, oh, maybe I can go past 45, and he probably could play at least 50. But I really think this is last year. I think he's been adamant to hit 45. He's gonna play well, man. Come on, like. You really think Tom Brady's just joke? Yeah, that too. Like,
and his weapons are awesome. Like, his line's really good. He's probably on the most talented roster in the NFC at one of the top 3. He's gonna play well. A non-competent quarterback could produce fancy-wise in that offense.
Yep. I won't.
Lock could perform in that offense.
I don't know about that. I
Let's
wouldn't
not say things we can't take back.
I'm not gonna
he can
project
perform
him out
average?
to be like, I'm not projecting broken records this year. I'm sorry.
Come
Sorry to
on.
say. I'm not. Nah, I don't
Oh
feel.
my!
Look, man, Gronk's
God.
still not there. Godwin is not going to be ready at the beginning of the season. Nah. No. Don't give me the horn. Don't give me the horn.
You project him for a record-breaking season, or you'll get the horn every day.
All right. He's gonna break the passing attempts record. There's a very boring record that I will project out.
We'll take it.
But come on. You can't even sell Tom Brady. What do you sell? Nobody's going to sell Tom Brady. You have to sit. If he's on your roster for Dynasty, you're like, all right, Tom, one more big year. Let's go. That's what you're playing at this point.
Another guy that if you're in startups, I'll take him because he's probably going to go too late in startups because nobody wants him for just a year.
Oh, yeah.
And just try and win your championship this year. That's a good
100%.
thing to do.
Nothing. And then you pay for your league fees next 3 years.
Yeah.
There you go.
Buy yourself something pretty.
Figure it out later.
Absolutely.
All right. Avant Gardner said, I really don't want this to happen, but I worry about Travis Etienne.
I think it's hard not to worry about him. He hasn't played. we don't know what Travis Etienne looks like in the NFL. I would worry.
How worried are you?
Where do we got here?
All right, say Travis Etienne is on your roster. He's currently in the month of May slotted in as your RB2. Are you comfortable or uncomfortable?
I guess I'm comfortable. I got him at 15. Oh. I am the highest on him.
So. I have him 17, and I'm not super comfortable. I prefer him in the flex. I fully believe in him, and I believe in the talent. I just have no idea what this offense looks like. We still have James Robinson, who's a bit of an issue. We have a million slot receivers. The line still has some questions. I don't know what this offense is going to look like at all. I hope he finds value. I hope we see kind of how we talked about Kamara with that involvement in the passing game. I hope that's where he can live because with James Robinson, you see that 1-2 punch, and that's what makes sense with it. But I'm not comfortable with him as an RB2 right now. I think he can be good for that, and I wouldn't trade him as an RB2. I'd trade him as an RB1, but I don't feel good having to start him every week right now.
If you were in a league that hadn't had a rookie draft yet,
okay,
would you trade the 108 for Etienne?
Yes.
Would you trade the 106 for Etienne?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I don't think you're that.
I would go all the way up to the 102. Huh?
Okay, yeah. So we're in, baby.
Yeah, I'm all in. Other than the 101, which I wouldn't, but other than that, I'd trade that for him.
Yeah, I think we haven't seen it, and there's some uncertainty, but I'm still in on the player. And honestly,
at the 102, what's the difference between him and Kenneth Walker's situation right now?
Yeah, there's not a lot.
Super questionable. We don't know the difference. We have big questions there. But I'm comfortable with him that trade value. But I have a lot of questions still. This offense is weird. As weird of an offense as we've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
They employ Laquan Treadwell.
Yeah, people forget.
In the year of our Lord and Savior 2022.
Zay Jones is there, and we still got LaVisca Chenault.
Zay Jones had a much better season than I thought. I didn't realize Zay Jones actually kind of popped off on the Raiders.
Yeah, he had a couple big games where he shot some deep balls. It's a weird team. They just have a lot of. They have no great players. They have a lot of average to good.
I trust two people in the Jaguars equation this year. This is what I'm going to choose to hope on if the Jaguars have a semblance of hope on offense. Trevor Lawrence, Doug Peterson. I will trust that. That's all I need.
And Doug Peterson's used his backs the right way, which should make us feel good about at the end.
Yeah. Even if, a 1-2 punch with Robinson, that's fine. That's fine.
A player with his speed and his explosive ability, I don't want him getting ran into the ground.
Yeah.
So that's fine. Still questions. So I don't hate it, but I think I don't think Avant needs to be sleep on a bed of nails.
That doesn't sound comfortable.
That doesn't.
Not at all.
No.
You have to be
Very-
uncomfortable.
Get yourself a mattress topper because ETN is gonna be he's gonna be all right.
He's sleeping on the pull-out couch right now.
All right. This one, Raza Delta says for potential bust, I'm going with Elijah Mitchell, Tyler Lockett, and Hunter Henry. Before we get to Hunter Henry,
Eric's tilting already.
let me just say Elijah Mitchell. I think I've come all the way around where now I just hate the San Francisco backfield. Like I went from like, yeah, it's frustrating and there's lots of people there, but now I just feel like they're kind of throwing weird draft capital at players that like Tyrion Davis-Price. Like I don't care. I really don't care. I don't think he like the gut reaction wants to be like, oh well, Kyle Shanahan and that running scheme. I don't know if Kyle Shanahan is a great evaluator of talent. And I know that he thinks he can make all running backs matter, but I just think that this is going to be so ugly that I don't know that I want any of Elijah Mitchell. I don't know that I want any of Trey Sermon. I don't know that I want any of Davis-Price. I think I'm kind of out on the San Francisco backfield. And I think we all left Tyler Lockett for dead. So if either of you have anything to add about those two before Eric goes scorched earth on all of us regarding Hunter Henry.
I think Tyler Lockett's dead, and it hurts me really bad. I love Tyler Lockett. I've been a Tyler Lockett's, I don't want to say truther supporter. He's been a guy that I've always had on my teams. I know what he's good for. Like you pair him with a consistent wide receiver for those boom bust games. He had his role, but that was with Russ Wilson there. We don't have that now. And I think he's going to be the biggest detriment out of them. So I'm out. I have him in my wide receiver 50s, and I feel it's terrible. I know I'm going to screw up a stat because it's from my co-host over again to Jeff Lambert. He said at least 5-6 times, but just can't remember it too verbatim. I think it's the last 5 years, the lowest drafted in ADP out of the 49ers, like top 3 running backs every year. The lowest ADP one has led in fantasy points. I just can't remember if it's the last 3 or 5 years it's done that.
That's interesting.
Oh, it was right in the middle. He just messaged it to me. The last 4 seasons, the cheapest 49ers running back in ADP has ended up the season as the highest fantasy scorer. So 4 straight years that's happened.
All right, so just take the cheapest one.
Just take the cheapest one. So
Jeff Wilson,
Jeff Wilson or Trey Sermon, I guess.
That really is the way to go, though. And
yeah.
Look, the Niners backfield now is what the Patriots backfield was when Brady was there.
Yeah.
Because now there's like 6 different guys. They're going to run the ball well and play well, but it's like you have no idea who's going to be on any given week.
No, it's worse. It's what the media made the Patriots backfield seem like. Like you can always kind of predict a little bit of it. This is completely.
This is more
chaos.
unpredictable.
This is chaos.
This is chaos. This is what they wanted acted like the Patriots backfield was.
Yeah.
This is chaos.
I will say this. Knowing all these guys, see, here's the problem. Jeff Wilson Jr., I feel like he hasn't been on the field enough. I think Mitchell, the problem is I like Mitchell, I like Hasty, and I kind of liked Sermon last year. But
I like them. Like, yeah, they're all fine.
That is the problem, though.
I
like
that's
them, and
exactly
I'm like, well,
the
they're just going to all be on the field. They're just going to completely cycle in and out. So,
but the thing is, once they find a hot hand, they stick with it.
Yeah.
But you're never comfortable with it.
If I could get the confirmation that Elijah Mitchell was getting that, I'd love him. I would love him because we don't have that confirmation. He is number 30 for me. I'm actually pretty sure I'm lowest on him. I can't.
Yeah, I
can't confidently be like, just can't do it.
Yeah, I'm at 19 and I hate it.
I have him at 21 and I don't feel great about it, honestly.
Actually, you know what? I think I like that. I'm moving 22 as we speak. I update as we speak.
There you go. Live adjustment.
I trust Leonard Fournette more than him now.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right. Well, Hunter Henry.
I want to know this guy's argument against Hunter Henry. I'm annoyed that a tight end got me. Like, of all, I was looking over the whole sheet.
I kind of love
I'm like, which bust is so outrageous? It wasn't even the Brady one, because I'm like, it's fair. He's 45. But like, when I saw Hunter Henry, I'm like, come on, man. Like, how? You're telling me, Hunter, what do you mean by bust in fantasy football for tight ends, man? What do you mean by bust? There's like 12 of them. You really don't think he's going to be a top 12 tight end? Come on. If you see the only way Hunter Henry is not a top 12 tight end is if he gets hurt. And I understand he has a track record for missing games, but like if I don't think he missed a game last year. If he plays the whole season this year, pencil him in for at least 550 yards and like 6-7 touchdowns. And that's a top 12 tight end.
Yeah, I think that's the point. And I agree. Like it's really just if he misses time, because the difference between tight end 6 and tight end like 15 is so minuscule. It's just touchdowns, and I feel better. I do feel better about him catching touchdowns than some other tight ends.
Of all the pass catching options in New England, which I know nobody's going to want to talk about in fantasy football, of all the pass catching options, he's the one where I'm like, I feel safest about him. I would want him.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I weirdly feel safe about Jacoby Myers still.
I should feel safe about Jacoby Myers. The fact that he's in the last year of his deal, and they're going to carry some wide receivers this year, dude. I think they were using Jacoby Myers because they didn't have the deepest wide receiver room. They didn't have people they could trust. They could obviously trust Jacoby Myers, but I think Jacoby Myers is what he is. He's
100% what he is what he is. But that's fine.
But
it's like saying Hunter Redford, he is what he is.
Yeah, but if Devontae Parker pops off in the offense, or if Tyquan Thornton shows something, I don't know. I could, like I said, I've been big on Kendrick Bourne. I think Kendrick Bourne is probably the number one receiver on the team. You still got Aguilar. I'd be just a smidge worried about Myers, but
okay. But no, I feel comfortable with Henry. I might be a little harsh on myself, so.
Yeah, you two, 15-14. All right, I see you.
I'm being ageist in Dynasty. Like, I'm getting like too excited. I'm just getting excited about young guys, if I'm going to be honest.
And tight end? Come on, there ain't that many good young tight. There are good young tight ends.
There are, and like half of them are going to flop.
The problem is the young ones take till they're old to be good anyway.
Dude, I know.
Yeah, they usually need like a 3 to 4 year window.
All right, last one we had from the Discord, and then if you guys have a couple you want to throw in, DChase05 says, Justin Fields wasn't drafted by this regime, didn't look great last year, and has a terrible offensive line and terrible weapons. I'll be honest, this is probably the one I am also most scared about of the ones that got suggested, because it's not that I think Justin Fields is bad. I think that Justin Fields is still a buy for me, like in the right scenario and for the right price. But if it doesn't go well this year, they will move on from him. Like, I really believe that, because I don't think that it's the regime thing. I don't think GMs take over a team, and then if the quarterback doesn't do enough to like cement it that they are the guy, next year they will take a guy that they want their name attached to. Like, you don't spend all that time trying to get a general manager job to not take your quarterback when the opportunity presents itself, which is not always the right thing, but this is how teams operate. So I also am worried about Justin Fields. I hope he turns it around. But yes, the line's not very good. They did not do him a ton of favors in terms of weapons, but I'm hopeful that he still can take a step forward.
They didn't know favors. They hate him. Like,
like,
follow the tea leaves, man. Like, there's teams that do little, like very little for their starting quarterbacks and their young quarterbacks, and you're like, at least you can see that they're trying to help. I mean, look at the Jags. We got the wrong players, but they at least tried. The Bears are like, I guess Darnell Mooney's good enough, and Cole Kmet, who's never got the touchdown before. Having fun, Justin. Oh, you're PFF's 22nd ranked offensive line. That's good as it is. You're fast. You'll be fine. Dude, they're doing nothing for this kid. I'm like really afraid they're going to Josh Rosen him, and it's sad.
Yeah.
Like, I'm legit scared for this guy's career because I think the Bears are going to F them off that bad.
I'm the complete opposite.
Oh,
I don't feel. Look, man, I get it that they didn't do him any favors. Like, they really have not. My problem with saying they haven't done anything is they didn't have the draft capital to do much. Their team as a whole stinks. Like, that's the thing we're not really like factoring in here. We only see the offensive side of the ball. Their defense stinks, dude. What's probably best for Justin Fields? Two things that fantasy football players just really wouldn't look towards: fixing the defense to make the team better and fixing the O-line. Unfortunately, they really didn't fix the O-line. I'm really worried about that more than the wide receiver thing. But you know, they tried to reinforce some things. They just have a complete team rebuild. The GM said, we're putting our faith in him. He said we're putting our faith in him. Now, Ant, I'm going to say this: if they are bad enough through unfortunate injury or performance, it doesn't even matter for Fields here. If they are bad enough to have a top 2 pick, then I agree with you. They will have a decision to make. If they're not bad enough to have a top 2 pick, and this is very lightly going through the QB class next year, if they don't have a top 2 pick, there's not a quarterback better than Fields. He'd have to be monumentally bad for me to be like, all right, let's actually roll the dice on somebody who's not Stroud or Bryce Young. That's how I feel about that.
I agree. I just think that team's just stubborn.
That is true.
They only have I'm like, how is this team so bad? And like, why didn't they do anything in free agency? So they only have $13 million in cap room.
Yeah.
There's some shit. They pay 52. They have 52 million in dead cap this year. They're paying 52 million to guys who aren't on their team. It's crazy.
Yeah. The Bears are like in rough shape.
Yeah.
You have 12 million, almost 13 million between Nick Foles and Andy Dalton.
Ooh.
Like, it's just a bad run organization right now. Like, oh, man.
Yeah. Yeah, they got some work to do. I hope that he can do enough. I don't think it's anything crazy where he has to win like a crazy amount of games to be the guy, but I hope he can just kind of tread water till they can get some reinforcements in there for him, because I still believe in the talent. All right, you guys have anybody that you want to add real quick before we skedaddle on out of here?
Eric, you go first. I've been on pins and needles.
Really?
I've been. Yeah, you really hyped me up before the show because I wanted to know who you had.
It's going to be disappointing, I think. Now I'm like, I don't feel that great about this one. All right, hold on. Let me get to the ring.
I was expecting hot fire.
No, Chase Claypool. I'm reading the tea, and I don't like it. I don't like it in Pittsburgh. Multiple other targets in the offense. I don't think Pittsburgh's going to be all that good of a team this year. I really think they're going to struggle. The offensive line's still rough. Don't like the quarterback. And I think you got George Pickens right behind him looking to take the job. So if I was Claypool, you got to come out hot this year. You really do, because the Steelers could make the decision to be like, you know what, actually, let's pay Deontay Johnson and boot Chase Claypool out of here. Because
that's what I'd do.
Yeah, dude, because
Johnson's good.
Johnson is very, very good. So I do think it's an interesting year in Pittsburgh. I don't really like Claypool this year, which is a complete 180 from where I was last year. I thought he would be the one to like step forward. Nope.
Yeah, I think most people did.
Yep.
He seems like a one-dimensional receiver. Like literally just deep balls and that's it.
Yeah.
Ryan,
who do you got?
I'm thinking we're about to see the twilight of Darren Waller. Like in even like especially Dynasty, but even in redraft, he's got his top 5 tight end in it. He's coming closer and closer to 30. His huge productions came because he had 120 targets, 140 targets. Last year, Hunter Renfrow broke out and ate up a 128 himself. And now we're adding the biggest target hog in the NFL with Devontae Adams. I think Waller can be fine. He'll be a top 12 tight end. But at this point where we're drafting him as a guy we're building our team around and first 5 rounds and counting on that for fantasy production, I think it's over. Like, it's really scary. He had 2 games last year with double-digit targets and only 1 game at 100 yards. Like, that's not great. He didn't score last year, which that should go up a little bit, but man, there's a lot of ball. There's a lot to go around on a team that has a decent defense, and the quarterback actually has a connection with Adams already. It's just, I don't feel great about it for Waller, and he's coming off an injury. There's just not a lot to like. He'll be 30 by next season. I'm worried.
I think those are fair concerns. My guy, we've talked about him, I think, a little bit in this sort of capacity, and it's
Austin Eckler.
It's not Austin Eckler. We don't go down that road. We don't go down that. Nobody goes down that road anymore. It's Antonio Gibson. I am pretty much out, I think, on Antonio Gibson. I guess at the right price, I'd still be in, but I don't look at him as anything more than a high-end running back 3. And I think it could even be worse than that. I think it's a situation where just look at what the team is telling you. Like they thought they were going to lose J.D. McKissick in free agency. They bring him back. They spend day 2 draft capital on Brian Robinson. So not only is Antonio Gibson not going to get the passing down work everybody's craved for a year and a half, but he's also going to lose some of that early down work too. And I think there's a real shot that Brian Robinson establishes himself as the best pure runner on that team. And Antonio Gibson's got all the talent, but the team keeps adding running backs or bringing running backs back into the fold for a reason. So I wouldn't draft him as anything more than, my 3rd running back. And even that, honestly, I'd probably convince myself out of it or talk myself out of it because I'm sure I'd like the wide receivers going around that range in startups as well. So that's my guy. Not Austin Eckler. Noted Austin Eckler fan. Have had him ranked as an RB1.
Still his position though. Why do you hate Austin Eckler's position?
Yeah, that's hating on.
What's up with the hate against running backs? Yeah.
I'm gonna go buy Antonio Gibson right now after hearing this.
That's, you know what? Based on previous running back takes, it's not the worst idea. So if you're gonna fade one take on this podcast, maybe make it the Gibson one.
I mean, it makes sense. Like, he wasn't uber efficient. They run people. Like, it's gonna be a committee.
Yeah. All right. Well, any famous last words?
No, not really. I'm kind of focused on the Mets game right now. I think it's the top of the 9th. Oh yeah, I just realized that my heart rate just spiked like 70 beats per minute.
All right, well, we'll get out of here so Eric can finish the Mets game.
Let me finish having my heart attack, people. Come on.
Thank you all for listening and watching this episode of the Dynasty Big Board, part of the Rookie Big Board podcast network. We'll be back with more of the Dynasty Big Board next week, but be sure to tune in tomorrow to hear from our friends on the Devi Big Board. We'll talk to you guys then.
Later, taters.